Alright guys, as you know from my video I posted yesterday, I took two trades and I like to do my little post trade review. So these are two trades that I lost on based off of the setups that I saw last night. So I saw this crazy push. It came into my support zone, as I had mentioned on that last video, broke above here, right, formed that resistance. So I drew my fips from swing low to swing high. So after seeing this resistance here, I'm like, all right, let me go down to the 1 hour and see how things are looking, right? And I saw this structure of support be made. I'm like, all right, cool. We're gonna wait for that 4 hour to do the same thing and respect it. Now I will tell you guys, I messed up on my read on this because I took it as, okay, these dojis have bullish momentum, right? So based off of me looking at the 1 hour, I'm like, okay, support created here, support respected here, and then I saw this right here. I'm like, all right, we're money. Despite the 4 hour just being like a little broad, I'm like, the 1 hour is giving me the clarity that I need. Now these areas, I marked them off because I didn't necessarily think that it would get there overnight, but longer term, maybe end of the week into next week possibly, we can see these levels, is what I was thinking based off of this setup right here. I wasn't aiming for those zones, I just marked them off. But I eventually saw this 4 hour doji get established. Now I'm down to the 1 hour and I'm really like fishing down here, seeing, you know, what we could do, what opportunities there are. And after seeing this right here, I'm like, yo, we money. Like, we're good money. Not quite the case. So after seeing this breakout, I went down to the 5 minute and I got in right there on that candle. And as you can see, based off of the 5 minute time frame, we had some dancey dance dance and then the shit just dropped, right? So clearly this is a lesson of almost 600 points. Clearly this is a lesson of wait for your high time frame. You know, yes, you may see clarity on the 1 hour, the 30 minute, right? But clarity and just seeing that clarity is not permission to enter, you know. You really have to remind yourself that the more information that you're seeing on the lower time frames, it's just all a part of the bigger picture progression that's being made. So that was definitely on me, but you know, you live and you learn. I will not do that again. Trust me, I won't. So that was really it. Of course, I took this a 250 trade, a 250 loss on the funded. I was like, I feel super like confident about this setup, so let me get in on here. And then on the combine, I'm actually in a live trade right now. I believe that this candle is going to push down here. On the combine, I risked about 625 on this. So I've only taken one trade on here so far. Again, I'm not a big fan of taking trades past 2 o'clock. That's why I lowered this risk down to 250. We got bearish, bearish, bearish. So I'm thinking that little smidge could probably push us into um, this little smidge right here could probably push us into 4 o'clock. Let's see how it goes. I don't really expect too much out of this trade, but there's clearly still bearish momentum here, and we got lower high, lower high. So we're gonna see how that trade ends up, but I wanted to give you guys an update on this trade now that it's completed. I think it was a good like technical read because let's think about it. If I got into the same trades but just the opposite direction, you know, that would have been 2 trades. That would have been 650 or 625 there and 360 there. So call it $1,000 being made. But it's like, this is why you have to have that clean understanding of what your higher time frame is doing. I assumed, really, that's what it was, and it was an assumption. I assumed that my high time frame was doing something completely different than what it was doing, based off of seeing more details on the lower time frame, which caused me to ultimately take action on my perception of that, and that led to a loss, right? So make sure that your read on your higher time frame is good, and is not only good, right? Let's be more intentional with our wording here. Make sure it's established. Make sure it's confirmed already, so you're not guessing what you think the higher time frame is doing, right? Like, you're waiting for your higher time frame, your 4 hour, your daily, whatever, right? And you're looking at your lower time frame. Like for me, I look at my 4 hour, right? I'm looking at my 1 hour to see the details of the buildup, regardless of direction, the details of the buildup for what I'm seeing or what I think I'm seeing on the 4 hour. But I don't act based off of the 1 hour, right? I act based off of the directional confirmation of the 4 hour. You see what I'm saying? So, looking at the 4 hours like looking at a meal, right? Or like a snack, and then looking at the 1 hour is like looking at the details, the ingredients, right? That makes the snack. I think that's a pretty decent analogy, but you know, that's what I'm looking at. You don't just look at, okay, this thing has flour in it, so automatically that means we gonna make tortillas. Like, that's not. You gotta see all of the buildup first. You know, look at it like, oh, I see these 4 things or these 3 things. Oh, so there's a good chance that, based off of what I'm seeing on the 4 hour, okay, it ties in and they're in alignment with each other. But you still have to wait for that confirmation. So, without getting into some crazy rant, that's my post trade analysis. We're kind of just vibing out right now. Like I said, I'm gonna see if it hits that TP for 180 points, and then I have my zone down here. I personally don't see it just like shooting down. I could see it like going back into this zone or getting close to this zone, forming like possibly another lower high, and then pushing down because it wants to build up some momentum. But again, we'll see what it does. Until next time,